Yes, ladies and gentlemen, episode 39 of the Journeys anime titled Ash vs. B Overcome Octolog just dropped. This is the final episode before we moving to Friday starting in 2 weeks, meaning we want to have episode till the 9th. This episode is a rematch between Ash and B and I don't have much more to say. Let's get to the episode. After starting off with an awesome training scene where we see Pikachu going after Riolu, this episode spends no time daily dolling around as the episode begins with Goal letting Ash know that B is in Johto. I'll save the discussion for all the Goal things that happen in the episode because I want to talk about this rematch. Here is the thing, while I like seeing Ash train and get ready for a rematch, the rematch did not feel earned. Why? A couple of things. The last time we saw Ash, he had just gotten sent packing out of the great or super class back into the normal class. In episode 36, after losing his confidence and seeing Goku come out victorious fighting close range, he says that he is going to start over. We then go to Alola, have one episode at Pewter, and now we are back to fighting B. Did we miss a couple of episodes here? What happened to the starting over? What happened to the training that we probably should have seen? Let's say that we didn't see the training because they wanted to keep it a surprise for the battle. Fine, I agree with that, but then why did we not see Ash get back to the great class? This might be the biggest thing here. Ash tells B that he's wanting to rematch her because he is back into the great class again. But why didn't we see that? I didn't even have to be actual battles. Even picture of couple of battles against trainer in the flashback sequence would have been nice. Instead, it is fully off screen, and that's my biggest problem with this episode. There is no continuity here. Oh sure, we get a flashback of Chuck battling Ash, but that isn't what important here. The most important continuity is the continuity from episode 34, and we don't get that. And as someone who likes this series a lot, it is so frustrating to see there is so much potential to make this series incredible, yet the show keeps skipping over important parts of development to get to the fights. This is why I never minded Sun and Moon not having lots of battle, because that meant that each battle we did get was important and entrangled in stories. Also, and this is another major issue, is what I was going to say before I really thought about it. I was going to talk about Farfetch'd not being involved in the fight. I was going to say how I understand that the writers want to make the Railu, but that doesn't mean you shoved another Pokemon. But in this case, while Farfetch'd did originally fight B, it was against a Hawlucha. That's the last person he lost to. And spoiler, at the end of the episode, we see that there is going to be another rematch in future between these two, so I can understand saving it for the future when Hawlucha returns. That way it gets chance at proper revenge rather than beating a completely different Pokemon. Other than these complaints, though, I really enjoyed the episode. The first battle with Pikachu and Hitmontop was great. While Pikachu was able to dodge and attack with great movement at the start, Hitmonlee, his movements and his powerful moves, especially the combination of Technician and Focus Energy, made this difficult battle for Ash. By the way, we know it's most likely Technician since he didn't intimidate Pikachu at the start of the battle. Luckily, his unorthodox way of using moves, and in this case Electro Wave, to line the floor in electricity to slow down Hitmontop allowed his Pikachu to use a second Iron Tail and Quick Attack combo to knock it out. The second battle with Grapple Lock is pretty one-solid and one-sided, but you can understand why Pikachu was damaged from the previous battle. He does get one Thunderbolt hit in which looked like it might have paralyzed the Grapple Lock, but since it has limber, it isn't affected by paralysis. It uses Octolock. Pikachu tries to get out but can't, and it finishes Pikachu off with liquidation. Can I just say both times we have seen Grapploct use liquidation to finish someone off. The angle they use it is straight on angle looking at the Pokemon is insane. It really gives the move such a lethal feeling and it's awesome. After that and before Riolu can even get into battlefield to battle, we see it picking up Pikachu on its back and talking and taking it to Ash. It's a small thing, but I love this. You ever see those war movies where one of our hero's friend gets shot and the hero drags him to safety before getting ready to fight a war by himself? This is what that felt like. And in this case, the long staring, the silence and the determination that we see in Riolu's eyes really sells. Riolu's desire to get revenge for the previous loss. The match is interesting in how Ash doesn't do a lot, and I love that. In the previous time they faced, Ash used a bunch of tactics and really tried to be an aggressor but failed. This time Ash started off fighting from distance, but when the fighting get close range, he doesn't retreat. Instead, even after getting caught by Octolock, we see Riolu calm and focused with its eyes closed. We see that Grapploct grip is tightening, but it still doesn't look phased. It gathers power and we see some aura in the air, and the boom, massive counter from Ash's using force palm. Then another clash of force palm and close combat knocked down both Pokemon, causing double KO. I originally thought this was a bit of a cop out, but after seeing later in the episode Ash and B's rivalry solidified with them promising to fight each other at the Ultra class, it made a lot more sense to me. I really liked that this is turning into a legit rivalry. I thought that maybe this type of rivalry was going to be between Ash and Corina, but I'm glad it's not. B is a fresh character. For example, similar to Leon, she struggles to remember names, calling Ash the Riolu trainer instead of Ash or Satoshi. Also, surprisingly, both Ash and Chuck, such a fit and dedicated person like B who grew up in dojo, surprisingly loves sweet just like Ash and Chuck. It really shows that while she may be serious in battle, she is regular person like everyone else. We will probably learn more about her in future, so it will be great to see this rivalry develops. Aside from the Ash B fight, a few other things happen here, mainly regarding Go. While heading to Johto, Go tries to fish a Pokemon but is completely unsuccessful, leading his Sobble to pat him in the back, which is adorable. Then at the end of the episode, when we see that he caught a Chinchou, we found out that it took him an eternity fishing to capture it, which is pretty funny. Overall, this was a nice episode. There are some issues in the episode, mainly the lack of continuity from the previous episode and the lack of build-up from the previous episode, which really hurt it in my opinion. And this is an issue not just on this episode but journeys in general, which I might talk about in future. But in vacuum, this was a great episode. The fighting was fantastic, and more than that, post-fight is great because we got to know more about character that will be recurring in this series. It is an episode defining and definitely worth watching. So, but anyways, that's it for my review for episode 39 of the Pokemon Journeys anime. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you like the video, like, share and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching and stay safe.